You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
You're right. I never thought I was going to be a writer. Now, when I was in like the 4th grade here, I love creative writing and I've written some stories, but never did I think I would be like this book boss guy, someone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this kind of a hidden episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. This episode, I forgot to put up, honestly. It just slipped my mind and I feel horrible about it. I misplaced it on my drive. That's pretty much it. But it's actually a great interview with Dr. Jeremy Sutton. He is the book doctor. He has a goal to help over 100 healthcare professionals and providers get their book, their story out there into the world. And he's already on his goal. At the time of recording, we were at 30. He was at 30 authors. Now he's bounding left, right, and center. He has 2 podcasts going out. The show notes are the links are in the show notes down below. I highly suggest you guys reach out and check out the book doctor himself, Dr. Jeremy Sutton. Let's jump into the interview right away. I have the book boss. That first of all, the book boss is a great Instagram name. I'm completely jealous of that. So I'm going to let you just tell us a bit about yourself, your name, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jeremy Sutton. I'm from Louisiana in the United States. And so I've been a physical therapist for about 12 years. And a few years ago, I bought a business which ended in a flame of disaster and started writing. Yeah, it was amazing. So 2019 was way worse for me than 2020. But so started writing books. I've written 6 books that are published on Amazon. And with that, other physical therapists, occupational therapists, other healthcare providers started reaching out to me, asking me about books and how to write them and publish and all that stuff. And so I started, the best nicknames are the ones you give yourself, I guess. So I started calling myself the book boss. And so it just kind of ballooned from there. And I've helped we've published about 50 books since September of 2019. And, my plan is to publish 10,000 more and, just kind of change the world with books. So that's who I am. That's what I do.
That's amazing. I love that you went from taking one part of your life, which was physical therapy, which was your life for the most of it's probably still part of your life. Yeah. And you went, I'm going to write a book about because I know about it. And now you having people going, yo, how did you do that? You help me. And you're like, yeah, sure, boom. And now you're 50 books in, plan for 10,000. You're probably going to hit 1 million before you know it. That's incredible, man. I'm excited. That's truly a digital entrepreneur right there. Because books, you had to connect through online to get those people to talk to you. You had your network and all that. So that's insane.
Yeah, it's cool. I've started out with healthcare providers because I've been one for 12 years and really been in healthcare for 20 years, all my adult life. And I've only been adult for about a week. So my whole adult life.
There you go. Hey, I got one day. I'm like a newborn here for the adult.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's funny. So I started out helping only healthcare providers and now I've branched out to really anybody with a business. And I really want business owners because someone that is established in their business and their business is supporting them and itself because, it's not cheap to do what I do and get people to edit and publish and do book covers and make it look better than it looks from Fiverr. So, so I start helping book, business owners. And I've got 3 books that'll be coming out, 1 in March and 2 in June for 3 of my clients coming up, and then have several others that are working from my online course that I have. And, probably looks like going to have about 10 more books published by, maybe June of this year. And we'll just keep going. So, yeah, it's really cool. It's really awesome. And it's funny, like, I didn't want my business to close, when I started it, but I'm really glad it did. It was amazing that it did, because it freed me up to do this and become the book boss and have Book Boss Publishing and all that stuff. And I've met tons and tons more people and been on more podcasts and things like that. So it's really been a really, really, really awesome adventure. How many more times can I say really?
As many as you want, because it's really, really, really cool. And that could be your thing, it's the book boss. Really?
Yeah, there you go.
But no, because, and what's really funny is, just before having you, I do a batch recording, because I find it the easiest way to do it is batching it up.
Yeah.
Each season. And just before you, I had another self-published author. It's just so weird. Like, I'm seeing so many people starting to publish their books because everybody's a master at something. Like, you have an idea of how to run physiotherapy books, so you wrote about it. You have 6, and then you're like, well, I know how to do this. And so you started offering it to other guys because you're like, they have value to sell because you saw the value of your books brought. I'm doing that with podcasting. I have clients now, like for my first season, like recording second season, I now have like 3 podcast clients just from doing podcasting. So that's my gift. Like yours is writing. Yours is a little more expensive than podcasting. Mine is pretty much nearly free. But I provide more service. I provide my expertise, and it's great to see that like you took your expertise and you got going to have 60 by June. 60.
It's really cool. It's funny because I was on a podcast, Stuck in a Truck, and I don't know if you've heard of that podcast. I hadn't heard of it, but it's really cool. The guy's literally in his truck doing the podcast with me, which I absolutely love.
But
genius. He is he's an entrepreneur. He's a retired police officer. I'm 39. I believe he was 36 or 7-ish, and he has a dog grooming business that makes I think $1 million a year or something like that.
Jesus.
And he wants me to help him write a book. And I don't know if we're going to work together. He's like, hey, Jeremy, I'd love to do it. I've written one, but I don't want to do all the work. I just rather pay you. And I was like, sure. And so, but
I'm okay taking your money.
Absolutely. But books they transfer. It doesn't matter if you're a medical professional or a dog groomer or a plumber or an attorney or whatever it is. Like you said, we all are masters at something, and we need to share that with the world, because just because I know how to, pop somebody's neck if they're hurting or whatever it is.
I was like, where are you going with this?
So we, chiropractors call it adjusting. We call it manipulating. It's the same thing, but I know how to manipulate a neck or a back or whatever when it's hurting to make it feel better. And that's not all I do, obviously, but not everybody knows how to do that. And like my dad could do everything: plumb, carpentry, wiring. I can't do any of that stuff.
Oh, no.
And so like I keep telling him, like, please write a book. People will need this information. So yeah, everybody's a master. And really, once you kind of get the formula, if you will, to write a book, it's the same. It doesn't matter what you're writing about.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think it's hard to get that formula because we don't know it. When we were growing up, we had all these weird books like, oh, this is how you write a book. This is how you write a book, but it's not the same. Oh, hi. A special guest.
Oh, here's another one.
Oh, another special guest. Hi.
All right. Yeah, they're going to bed. So
makes sense. It's around bedtime. But it with you, like, because the only way you could learn before was through a book, and some people can't learn writing through a book.
Right.
And or the great writers were like, you have to be tormented.
Yeah,
exactly. Drink a bottle of Jack Daniels while looking over a pond, and like, so that's what everybody thought of writing is. But like now, people are like, you are demystifying it. Like, look, no, I can help you write a book and give you that teaching. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. It's funny because some people still portray this lie. I say it's a lie because it is. And they're like, oh, you have to write a book. It's going to take you 2 or 3 years. You have to, like you said, you have to suffer and have to be in anguish and all this stuff. And so I have a client right now, and I talked to her. We started in I signed her in December, and I said, when do you want to have your book done? She said, by March. And she said, can it be done? I was like, yeah, it can, if you want to work really hard. And she's like, yeah, I do. So, last week we had our third phone call, and she sent me 6 chapters. And so her book will be finished. She's going to finish writing her book by the end of this month. We're going to send it off to the editor, then the formatter, then have the book cover. And then, into March, she's going to have a book published, and she's going to be able to say, and so one of the cool things that I learned, Phil, is when you write a book, you don't have to do this all the time, but if you write the guide to the, system of whatever, then you can say, I'm the person who wrote the book.
You are the book boss.
Yeah. I actually have a book over here. It's The Guide to Crushing Unrealistic Fears of Becoming a Self-Published Author. And I actually wrote this book in one night. It's really thin. It's like 38 pages, and it's a 5x8. But I took questions that people asked me. And so now I can say I'm the guy that wrote the guide on crushing your fears. And so I don't know, it's just kind of cool. You can say, hey, here comes Phil. He's the guy that has Mickey Mouse beside him. And, it's just better.
Funny enough, the first podcast released, the little tease at the beginning is Donnie Bovin. He's the guy for online network marketing. Like, he's reinventing marketing, networking, like real life networking for business owners. And the first thing he says in the podcast is like, forever, you're going to be the guy with the Mickey thing. That's your brand now. So right. Forever now, it's like Mickey. What's really great about this is hopefully soon, an artist friend of mine, she wants to sponsor the podcast. So she's sending me artwork that I'm going to have on this wall. So it's even better. I get to promote her work because she's an amazing artist. And, I got Mickey as my other brand.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool. I have this guy named Rob Secades, Secades. He did the cover for Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets, I believe. It was one of the two, expert or .com, I can't remember. But he's an artist in Miami. And so I looked for him because one of my clients said, I want the guy who did Russell Brunson's book cover. And so I wanted to know how much he charged and who he was. So he was in the book. So I looked him up of course, he's on Facebook. And he does this amazing art where he uses $100 bills, and he does different designs on them. He has one with a unicorn. He has one with Donald Trump, one with Joe Biden, like Kennedy, all these presidents. He has one with Ben Franklin. It's just different things, and they're really cool. And he does them by hand. And so I've ordered 3 of them. So eventually I'm in my son's bedroom. This is like my podcasting mecca. And that's why they came in here to talk to me. But I have a portable building coming, and I'm going to move all my office out of my house. And that's going to be like my podcasting studio, my writing shed, and all that stuff. And so I have these 3 prints that I'm going to hang out there from Rob, and they're beautiful because he's actually an artist, and it's not just like me going to, some store and buying something. It's something real and amazing, like what you're going to have. And I love that. So yeah, I get it.
I'm so thankful that she even offered, because it's awesome. And I'm good when she has her art. She's putting a website together, and obviously links in the description all the time. But it's great seeing how traditional people are going online to make artwork or anything, and with a book, like I can be the guy with podcasting with my book because I have a solid book, But it's amazing that you transition. Like that's what I find amazing. You transition from one world to the next. And I bet you, when you were going to you went to med school, I'm presuming.
I went to physical therapy school. Absolutely. Professional school. Yeah.
Professional school. I'm pretty sure you didn't think when you're in your 30s, you're going to be the book boss.
No, I didn't. It's funny. So I had I have 3 podcasts that I've done. And so right now my podcast is called Entrepreneur Rising, and it has entrepreneurs and teaches other entrepreneurs how they've been successful and things like that. And it's really because that was my word for last year, is rise. Because my wife and I had to file bankruptcy because of our business. We were sued by the guy that we bought the business from in the first place, and then sued by the bank. So 2018, 2019 was not really all that much fun.
Doesn't sound fun.
And being sued. And no, it wasn't. But I tell people all the time, those are like 3 of the best things that ever happened to me, because, my podcast, my first one was called the Servant PT podcast. It was all about servant leadership. So I'm really big into servant leadership, and I'll save you the long backstory, but it comes from kind of being a jerk for a long time and then changing my life, and then hearing this guy talk about servant leadership, and just me being like, hey, that's what I want my life to be about. So did that. And then, we crash and burn, and I'm like, okay, what's next? And I see this guy at a conference. He's like 23, and he's like, Jeremy, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, everything kind of sucks, doesn't it? I'm like, yeah. What are you going to do? I was like, keep going, because you just saw, I know the listeners can't see this, but my two kids walked in a few minutes ago to tell me good night. Like, I have a 6 and 8 year old. At the time they were 4 and 6, and I can't just dig a hole and get in it. Like, I have to keep living. I'm only 39, and hopefully I'm going to live a lot longer. But, so just, I think resiliency is probably the best thing that anybody can have. And just that desire to keep moving forward when things gets crazy. And that's allowed me to, I'm still a full-time physical therapist right now. And I do my book boss stuff at night and on the weekends, and have a team. It's not just me. So that works out really well. I'm just kind of the orchestrator and all this stuff behind the scenes. And it's really been cool. And, it's funny because you're right. I never thought I was going to be a writer. Now, when I was in like the 4th grade here, I love creative writing, and I've written some stories, but never did I think I would be like this book boss guy, someone that has, I've talked to, I don't know how many people today about books, and, it's just been really cool. It's been a really amazing journey. And, I'm just excited to see where it all ends and where it goes, because, I just think that having a book is something that sets you apart from so many other people.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, the circles that I'm in now, it seems like everybody has a book, but that's because that's who I'm gravitating towards, and that's who's gravitating towards me. But when you really step back, so if you just take medical providers or attorneys or whatever, you go try to find a bunch of people that have books that they've written. You can't. No. Like, because there's not, like, 85% or 88% of people want to write a book. 1% of those actually write a book. So, but they can change your life. I mean, you can do so many things, and I try not to talk so much, and I try to let you talk a little bit, but
no, please. This is not me. I'm here. I'm getting so much value just to listen. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Good. It's true. It's so true. I'm just gonna let him talk because there's more truth coming out of him than I talk. So go ahead.
Good. So I know, like, we're in the United States. For those of you listening today, the White House was just like rushed by a crazy mob. And so people in the United States are nice, and we do have intelligent things to say. So here I go. So I'm trying to do some more. It's crazy because a book opens up so many doors. So when I had my own business as a physical therapist, I remember handing my very first book to someone, and it was horrible. It was so bad. But I handed it to them. They're like, you didn't write this book. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, no, you didn't. I'm like, turn the cover over. And they turn it over, and there's my face. And I'm like, hey. And oh, you wrote a book. I've never seen anybody that wrote a book before. And so it just gives you that little extra layer of expertise or authority immediately. And then if it's a good book, it adds a little bit more authority. And then you can do so many different things. In my first book was about neck pain. And then a friend of mine who's a therapist, we rewrote it and added on a few chapters. And then we turned it into this business where we have, lead magnets in the book where we, on Amazon, you can't collect any data from anybody, but you can put in something in the book that says, hey, if you go here, you get this extra. And so our first book about neck pain had all these exercises in it. And we said, hey, we wrote it out, showed you how to do it. But if you're more of an audio person, then you can click here and you can get all the videos for every exercise. And so we're still collecting emails. And I'll be honest with you, we haven't promoted that book a lot. We were actually going to do a whole series, neck, back, knee, shoulder, everything, and sell that to physios, chiros, massage therapists, and just make an amazing like white label business out of it. But he decided to do something, and I decided to do what I'm doing now, which I love. But the crazy thing is we still have people that sign up for that email list, and I still have that asset that I can give people. And then I've written some journals, some daily journals, some Bible studies. I wrote this is a crappy cover, but it's the gratitude journal for couples. So like you see, it's like,
that's amazing,
not even or anything. And then so my wife and I wrote this, like, what are you grateful for today? His and hers. And then how can you encourage your spouse? And so, I did that. And it literally, this template is like graphs that you can do any kind of journal with. And I had a husband and wife do 2 or 3 different journals within like a couple of weeks just off of this template. So you could do anything. And then you turn it into an online program, an online coaching program, an online course, a one-on-one, a group program, consulting, speaking, all these things that you can do just from writing a few little books. Like this took me like 20 minutes to finish.
Well,
So
I know who I'm going to talk to when I want to write my book.
absolutely, man.
Because that is a goal. There is a goal. I already had the title for it. It's
Awesome.
Burnout to Boss, the Phil Better story.
I love it.
Great thing. So like I already have the book. So you're actually not the first published author I've had on the podcast, but you're the only one who's turned it into a business, publishing the books as a business. So that's really great because it's amazing that I have like a book publisher. Like who would have thought? The world is really crazy that when I first started this podcast, in November, I started it and I started releasing it in December, that I would be talking to a book publisher.
Yeah.
Not only a published author, but a book publisher. Like that's like a book author. That's great. But you're now you help other people get published, which is amazing. And then even better, this season, I'm teasing, I end up with the last episode is a huge guest, which I don't want to spoil it now because this is early. I think I'll tell you off air. But for me, it was like, oh my, like this is like stratospheric above where I am. So
yeah,
it's amazing that like just through podcasting and Facebook, I've gotten this, and like I'm just thinking about adding a book to my list. Like that's even more credence to me, right? Like I can only imagine with a book who I can be, you know, like who I can get as a guest. So
right, yeah,
definitely.
You know, it's really cool. I'll tell you this, like, so I talk to people. So I've done, I don't know, a couple hundred episodes of different podcasts, and I've been on a few, you know, some as guests. But I actually got John Lee Dumas this year, who does Entrepreneurs on Fire. I got Steve Larson, Marley Jacks. Who else? Rob Kosberg, who has bestseller publishing. So he does what I do, just on a huge scale. He's been doing it longer than me. And
that's where you're going to be. You're going to be there soon anyways.
Yeah, but I just, you know, it's crazy, Phil. Like you think that you can't do these things. You know, we always think this, you know, we have these big self-limiting beliefs no matter. So I came from absolutely nothing. My family was poor. No, I don't want to say nothing. I had an amazing family life, but we just didn't have any money. Like, and my dad worked hard. My mom worked hard. Like my dad worked 2 or 3 jobs. My mom worked 2 or 3 jobs and all this stuff. And we actually lived in a log cabin for a little while that's still standing. It's crazy. But so I have all these things like I can never have money or money's evil. And none of that's true. You know, the love of money is evil is what the Bible says. And so, but like I need money to survive. Like my kids have to eat. So it behooves me to go and make money and do things. But, you know, early on and I thought, okay, I could never get somebody like JLD to come on my podcast. Yeah. And really all it was I asked my VA, my virtual assistant, she said, who do you want on your podcast? And I said, I want Russell Brunson. And she said, I'm going to message Russell Brunson. I was like,
good luck.
Yeah, exactly. But she did, but she messaged John Lee Dumas's people and they got back, said, yeah, he does podcasts 1 day a week to guests and he does 15-minute increments. And like, dude, I'm not kidding you. I'll have to send you the clip of me after we went off the air. And I was just like, you know, I was just like pure joy in my face.
I'm not surprised. Like, so like I use Calendly to book all my guests because it's just easier. One for me because I'm not doing the DMs back and forth because you forget. So they book and they can reschedule whenever they want. And when I saw I had posted on I think we were on Podmatch. I think we connected or one of those. And he sent me it and I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't check everything out, but I'm like, okay, yeah, he fits the bill of my regular guest. And then I got him confirmed. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to do my more research into him. I'm like, oh, holy, wow, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like this is someone in my day-to-day life I probably would never interact with because of where he is in his social status. But because I have a podcast and he wants to be on podcasts, I am now connected to him, and it's friggin' insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what podcasts do. And that's what books do. You know, I had a guest on my podcast. His name's Ken Carey, and Ken, you may not have ever heard of him, but he does direct to consumer marketing. And he did the Oshkosh Bagosh commercials. So the clothing line. and he did Oric vacuums, and he's personal friends with Oric, the guy that has the vacuum cleaners. He was next door neighbors to Kobe Bryant. He's like, so it's like he's a big guy, but you really maybe not. He's not like a house known name, but like this guy's amazing. And talk to him, and he was like, they do video testimonials, and that's how they sell everything. And he's like, hey, Jeremy, send me 5 of your authors, and I'll do 3 of your testimonials for free, and then show you how to set them up. I would have never. Now, I met him at a conference, and it just worked out that I got to speak to him in person one time for like 20 or 30 minutes. But I would have never been able to get him on my podcast had I not been out trying to, meet new people and network and things like that. But also, if I have a book and I have a podcast, I'm telling you right now, next to a book, a podcast is one of the most important things you can have. If you're listening to this and you want to grow your business and you want to grow your network and you want to just change your life radically, get a podcast and then write a book, because you will speak to people that you would never, ever be able, like Steve Larson, like the guy, was at ClickFunnels and now has his own company. And, I think he said he wanted to make $2 million his first year by himself, and he made 4, and there's no telling how much money he's making now. And I had Marley Jacks, who's another big ClickFunnels, 2 Comma Club award winner. It's just amazing people that I would have never gotten to talk to had I not had this podcast. And the same thing with the book. Hey, I'd love to write a book. Would you like to write a chapter in my book? Well, yeah, I'd like to write a chapter in your book.
No, I'm not going to throw away free promotion for
exactly.
me. That's insane. Like, just having, like, I can say the same thing. Like, for me, we're not. I wouldn't say we're at different stratospheres. We're different places in our lives. Like, you have a lot more business acumen than I do, and I'm slowly starting my own business, but I have a lot of podcasting. So I'm like, okay. And you're giving me this great advice just for me, but also to my listeners, which is, if we didn't book this conversation, I would never have had this conversation. And the value of people going, well, if I have a podcast, well, I already have a podcast, I need to write a book. Well, you offer the services of writing books. So, and you have courses. So like, they now know that they can click the link in this episode and they can now become a published author, which will create even more for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'll just kind of give you and your listeners the formula to write your book.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's pretty simple. I can do it in less than 5 minutes. So the first thing is you want to know your topic. So some people say, let's pick your audience, but if you don't know about what you're going to talk about, your audience, it doesn't matter. So once you pick your topic and you're good with that and you know what you want to do, then pick your audience. And so when I teach people to write, I would say, Phil, I'm going to write a book to Phil. He's got a beard. He's wearing a black hoodie. He has Mickey Mouse behind him, and that's who he is. So we're going to write that book to you. Now, there's a million other Phils out there. Probably, hopefully not a billion, Phil, but there's a bunch of y'all.
There's at least a million. I can confirm a million. Yeah. We're a million strong today.
Okay, good. So there's a million other Phils out there that this book is going to pertain to. And then you just have to put it in front of all those Phils to fill up your book marketing. I see what I did there. So you got to have your topic and then your audience, and then you want to brainstorm or mind map your book. And so what I love to do, I'm old school. I like pen and paper. I have a leather journal somewhere in the other room, but I take it, I open it, and I start writing. And so if I'm going to write a book about Mickey Mouse, I'm going to put Mickey Mouse's name in the middle of the page, and I'm going to circle it, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to write the first thing about Mickey. He's got big ears. Bam. Mickey's wearing a red shirt. Bam. He's got yellow shoes. And we're just going to start doing that out. And then what you end up with is this giant, notebook of, piece of paper with all these topics and all these subtopics on it. And then you just go and circle the top 10 or 20 things. And that's how you outline your book. And so now, first chapter is going to be Mickey's ears. The second chapter is going to be Mickey's red shirt. The third chapter is going to be Mickey's yellow shoes. And then you do subtopics. Well, what does it matter that he has big ears? What are they good for? Why does it matter to the reader? What transformation is it going to give the reader to know this? And that's your roadmap. So I wouldn't leave here and try to drive to Montreal without knowing where I was going.
Yeah.
I personally probably would, but most people wouldn't. So
you'd be like, I know it's north. So as long as
absolutely.
I go north and they start speaking, and when they start speaking French, I'm in the right place. That's all I need to know.
Absolutely. So, or I could go south here in Louisiana and get to New Orleans and they speak French there, and I might be lost. But anyway,
You'll
We
hear the
do.
English and you'll be like, no, that doesn't sound like that sounds
not
too
right.
normal.
That's not right. That's exactly. So we get that roadmap, which is your book outline. And that's really where I feel that most people in the process get stuck is in that outline, because they're like, well, I know what I want to write about. I know who I want to write about. I know about it, but I just don't know how to put it together. And so that's really what I do with my clients. That's the first thing we do is we get on a Zoom call like you and I are on right now. And we sit for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, and we just nail out that outline. And then we hammer out the timeline of the book, when they want to publish it, and we we do everything else on the back end and reverse engineer it. But topic, audience, mind map, outline, and then you just start writing. You decide, hey, I want to have this done December 31st, 2021. Okay, well, probably need to have the whole book done by October at the latest, and send it to an editor, not an editor that's going to charge you $50, a real professional editor that's going to do a good job. Because if you want to spend all that time writing a book, you don't want to have a crappy editor look at it and say, oh yeah, it looks great. And
changed one word. You put a period where it wasn't supposed to.
Absolutely.
I turned it to a comma.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had people I've had some clients that have paid $50 on Fiverr to edit their books, and, but you got to know, you get $50 worth of editing, whereas if you pay $1,000, you get $1,000. And so, and then you get somebody to format it and make it look good, and a cover and all that stuff. But, really the writing process is what intimidates people too, is it's not that hard. So on a 6x9 book, which is what this is, and what most business books are 6 inches by 9 inches. I don't have another one. I've cleaned them all out of here, but 6x9 inches is a typical business book. And the way with the indentions and the margins and everything, that's about 250 to 300 words per page. So, if you write 30,000 words, you're going to be, looking at about 100 pages. And if you get 102 pages, your name goes on the spine. So you have it right here, and it'll say "Feel Better" right there, or Jeremy Sutton, or whoever your name is, Bob, and that you can put it on a library, and people say, "Oh, look, there's a book that Jeremy wrote," and it just looks even better. So you really just have to cut it up into small pieces like that. And there's all these tools like Otter and Descript and Rev,
and Grammarly, probably.
Grammarly, yeah, and iPhones that you can record your book on. And then they transcribe it for you. And then if you don't even want to write anything, you just do all that, have somebody else transcribe it and type it, put it together. You've got a book. It's really not. I mean, it's hard work, guys. I'm not. No, it's not hard. You
make it sound easy,
but it's not hard like you think it is. It's not hard like some people want you to think it is.
It's hard because it's not hard. It's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
It's once you get started, because I've noticed this I've broken down goals. Like I have a goal by my birthday to be self-employed, no longer working my 9 to 5. That's my goal, because I want my financial freedom. I'm 30. I'm going to be 36. I'm like, no, I'm done with corporate. I want my own, so I can start doing what I want to do for fun. Because my dad was half in the corporate world, half self-employed because he worked on commissions. As an insurance salesman, and he was one of the number one salesmen when he first started, like rookie of the year nearly. No, he was rookie of the year his first year, and he was great. And I'm trying to get him to teach a course, like write a book.
Yeah,
but he's like, no, it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, what about courses? You're good at courses because you taught a course, right? He taught a assertiveness course in universities and that, so he knows that, and he has that course. I'm like, we can do the course online because we can go that way. And once he sees the value there, then I think I'm definitely going to send him your way, because he can have a book. He can be the guy who wrote the assertiveness book. So but the value, so since I wanted to quit my day job, I set up, okay, I know how much I need to make monthly to survive. So I want to do it, at least I want to survive for 3 years, because after 3 years, you're like, okay, I will make it, or it's not working. So I can go back. So I'm like, okay, how much do I need? I'm like, okay, my goal is 100K. I need 100K in the bank saved up so that I can have 3 years off, that I can work on affiliate marketing, print on demand, writing my book, or whatever. I'll have income coming in so that I don't have to be stressed about paying my bills, because the bills will be paid. And so I'm working towards it. It's January. This year is my year to be self-employed. So I've started this podcast. Is helping me a lot because I'm getting connections with people like yourself that I'm like, okay, that's a way I can help make it. I'll write my book, or I'm going to pay Jeremy to help me write my book when I have some of that money saved up. So it's great because the connections I make, I can even put you in touch with other people who I think should be writing a book because they're genius. Like my final guest should be writing a book, and I'm going to send him to you because it's like, hey, this is a big guest. He should be it. I doubt he has written a book, and I'm pretty sure the type of person he is, he will want to write a book because he has an amazing story. So like, I'm going to connect you with him because it's only worthwhile. Because why not? You're doing me a favor being on my show. Like, for me, it's a favor to you. You're like, no, you're adding value to my life. So
yeah, absolutely. You know, that's what I love about podcasts is, you know, somebody asked me the other day, like, how much should I pay to be on a podcast? I was like, nothing. Why would you pay to be on somebody's podcast? But, you know, you get value, and I teach you and your audience something, and then I get value because now you've introduced me to a whole nother group of people that I would have never been introduced to. And, you know, I was on the phone today with someone who's pretty much done with this book. And so, you know, one of my services is I take you from nothing to finished and, you know, coach through the process. And really people just need somebody to hold their hand and kick them in the butt, which is exactly what I do. And I'm a hand holder and a butt kicker. So
yeah, as I'm holding your hand, you know, you're flipping the butt.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, you know, I talked to him and we talked about some stuff, and I said, hey, it sounds like your book's done. And let's, you know, when you get it finished, send it to me and I'll see what it needs. And then if you may not need my help, you may just need somebody else's help. And I think that too is the key to being successful. Feels like you can't help everybody, nor do you want to help everybody. One, you're not compatible with everyone. Two, not everyone needs the service you provide. But when you network like this and you meet people, you get to meet, okay, well, Jeremy doesn't need it, but Rob is the guy that can do this for you.
Yeah.
And, or, you know, George is the guy that does my covers and Nate does my editing. And so if somebody just needs a cover, I'm not even going to try to like take a cut off of that. I'm just going to say, here's George's email. Just go talk to him. He's the cover guy. Like there's nothing that you need from me. Just go. But, you know, I was talking to the guy today and he was in Canada as well. I'm not sure where. And he said, well, you know, I have a ton of people in my network. I work with high-end clients. And would it be okay if I referred some to you? Would you be able, you know, one, yes, absolutely. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Please don't send me money. Please don't stop.
But the funny thing is he said, well, do you do any kind of joint ventures or referral services or affiliate or anything? And I was like, dude, if you send me somebody that's going to pay me all this money, I'll send you some money back. Sure. Yeah. It's like marketing, you know, it's crazy. I started running an Amazon ad for one of my books this week just to mess with it and see. And I've spent, it's really low. I'm just doing $5 a day right now just to kind of toy with it. And so I've spent $30 and I've made 60. Or I spent 25 and I've made 50. And I'm like, okay, well, I put $2 in or $1 and I got $2 out. Well, if you could put $2 in this or $1 in and get $2 out, why wouldn't you put $1? You know, it's like, it doesn't make sense if it's going to happen. And so if somebody's willing to send you clients that are going to pay you money, well, absolutely. I'll pay, you know, if I can make $10,000, I'll send you $1,000.
Yeah. It's worth it. It's you're helping me out. Cause if you see that I'm going to pay you for those good clients, I'm going to send you more clients. Like, oh, you're giving me $1,000 because I sent you a guy who gave you X amount. I don't even care how much he paid you. Sure. You're paying me I'm going to, hey, anybody else want to write a book? Yeah, exactly. Like a guy here who can write books for you, you know,
exactly.
And then there you go. And you get them and you work with the client. You're like, you know what? No, it's not going to work. Or yes, it's going to work. And before you know it, you're now working with like CEOs of like Fortune 500 companies when before you were just starting with the medical profession. So it's you have to be open for everything and not be closed.
You really do. And you know, there's, you know, we have this abundance and this scarcity mindset. And I really think those are two words that become so cliche, but they really are the truth. There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of people out there to serve. And there's plenty of ideas to come up with something new. So one, I don't know if you agree with this, but there's nothing new in this world. Like it's all already been seen or done for the most part.
Yeah.
There's just different spins on things. Like I have this cheap camouflage cup. It's not an Arctic. It's not a whatever the other big name is. I can't even think of it right now. But it's not. It's like just some cheap cup that 25 different manufacturers are doing.
Yeah.
And one of them stays cold for 30 minutes and one stays cold for 29. But here I am with this off brand that I bought instead of the name brand. And so I didn't think there was a whole lot of people doing what I'm doing until I started doing it. And now Facebook targets me with all these ads. And I'm like, oh, look, there's 6 more people today that I didn't know about that are doing this. But I am the first person to specifically work with healthcare providers. Now, absolutely, I'm branching out and doing more. And the guy today was not a healthcare provider I spoke to, and I'm speaking to someone tomorrow that's not. But if you can be the first person to do something
in your niche,
in your niche, you can make some mistakes. And man, have I made a lot, but you're still first, and so that counts for something. Like you don't want to be the second guy. You really don't. Now, if you're the 10th or 20th or whatever it really is, but like if you're the first person, and then there's going to be other people that come along
because they're seeing that you're making the money for it.
Exactly. But you get a little bit more benefit because you did it first, and it's like
being the first, like it's like the first man on the moon. Like everybody remembers Neil Armstrong is the first man on the moon. Like yes, Buzz Aldrin and others like they had, but Neil Armstrong, like he was first. He's first, just like Elon Musk will always go in because he was the first person to send a commercial airline up in space. Right, to help, so he's going to go down in history. Everybody who's done the first will be remembered. The second and third, they'll be remembered as well. But historically, like that's big, and like you're the guy in the medical profession, pretty much, to help other medical professionals write books. And now you're branching out because now you have your name there. You can go, look, if I can help doctors, how can I not help an accountant? And then you go, if I help accountants and doctors, I can definitely help you, Mr. CEO. And then Mr. CEO, look, if I help these 3, I can help you, Mr. President. It's simple as that. It's just, you just need to be willing to go. You just need one person to help you.
Here's the crazy thing too is, so there's this guy named Kamanzi Constable who would be an amazing guest for your podcast, but he teaches people he and his wife teach people how to get published in like Entrepreneur Magazine, business, things like that. And I actually bought his course for my birthday in October. I haven't looked at it yet because I've been so busy with my clients. But the reason I bought it is because there was a local company here about an hour and a half from where I live, and they were looking for someone to teach their company, their corporate people, self-publishing, and they were paying $2,000 an hour. I was like, So now probably, I'm not going to say probably. I have plenty of things to do. I shouldn't have stopped what I was doing and just learned all of that and gone after them. But I mean, that's something that I want to be able to do, is go speak to corporate. And the reason I say that is exactly what it's something else that you can do, but it doesn't have to be self-publishing. It could be how to do an online course or how to start a podcast. Like where I still work right now, they have their own podcast, or they're pumping in podcasts from other people. I have another client who she has a contract with Amazon. She has a corporate contract with Amazon and one with Best Buy. And she's almost finalized one with Coca-Cola. So those are 3 companies known, pretty much worldwide. Absolutely, Amazon and Coca-Cola worldwide. But she wants to help other healthcare providers, wellness professionals that have courses, books, blogs, anything that they can use to teach someone. She's pumping all of this stuff into these corporate clients because that's what they're looking for. They're trying to train their people and help their people get everything from them. Like, it's crazy how this phenomenon is most businesses, most corporations now want you to get your healthcare here, your wellness here, your dieting, your education, everything.
Vertical integration.
Absolutely. So it's like, hey, you're going to do this continuing education every year, no matter what you do for us. But within this, there's these self-help, all these amazing things for mental health and spiritual and emotional and physical. And like, if you can get on that train somewhere, it doesn't matter if you're a podcaster, a book editor, a YouTuber, whatever. I mean, this crazy thing is, Phil, is now you don't have to go to college anymore.
No. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Please go to school. But if you're going to be anything, if you're going to be operating or dealing with laws, please go to school. If you're going to be a business person or you're going to do something in the business industry, you don't technically need it because everything's at your access to your fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely. And here in the United States, our freaking tuition is out of control. And I can tell you what my student loans still are, and it's ridiculous. But it's even as a medical professional, sometimes people ask me, would you do it again? And I'm like, I don't know. The cool thing is it's gotten me where I am now because of the connections I have in the medical field. But I could have done this differently. Now I feel like we all have a purpose and fate and all this stuff. So, but do you really need it? You really don't, the way we are. Because Amazon's hiring every day for something. Google's hiring, whether they're good companies to work for or not, I don't know, who cares, but there's jobs there. And then if you know how to do these things, like edit a podcast, edit YouTube videos, starting a podcast.
Yeah.
How daunting was that at first? Like, I don't know how to start
my
a podcast.
First podcast burnt me out. My first podcast burnt me out in 2019, pretty much 2020. 2020 was a burnout year for me. That's why I burn out to boss. And so, but I have all this knowledge now when I took with what worked there and what didn't work. And I was like, pre-records work, doing them live and then putting them out burns me out. So pre-recording, that's awesome. Candidly works because it's easier to organize guests. So and I look more professional. Okay. And I slowly just like added on stuff like that. And this season, I actually signed 3 clients for podcasting. And it's like amazing. And I'm like, okay, I have 3 clients and I'm trying to get my day job. I'm like, hire me to create your podcast because it's going to be the smartest move you can do for marketing wise. But it's trying to convince a corporation of the good. And so I'm like, look, people are already paying me to make podcasts. So like maybe there's something here. So,
what you just said is so awesome and I'll tell you why. So I have someone that I know that was a teacher for 10 years and they were making about $2,100 a month. Okay. So 2,100 US a month as a teacher, been a teacher for 10 years. And they're making a little over 2,000 a month. Now I know some people hear that and like, yeah, that's a lot of money to me. And then there's some people that are like, oh my gosh, I make that in a day or whatever.
Yeah.
But so she got sick of teaching, didn't want to do it anymore. We talked about some things. So she's a virtual assistant now. She has 2 podcast clients and 1 person that she's doing some social media management for. She's making more than she was making as a 10-year teacher.
Jesus.
Literally nothing. She has 2 master's degrees. She minored in chemistry and Spanish, and like, so super intelligent, all this stuff. And she's making more money with the skills she learned in 2 months versus, something that took her 8 years in college to do.
Jesus.
And been doing it for 10 years versus now for 2 months been doing this. So it proves to you that being an entrepreneur, 1, can be successful.
Yeah.
2, there's a lot of hard work, but it can be successful, and you don't need to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars learning something. And one of the things Steve Larson talks about a lot is when he was in college and business school, one of his business professors actually owned a business, which is, most of them don't. Like, no,
they're all theory and they're non-practical.
Yeah. And it really is true. People that can't teach sometimes, not always,
no.
But, sometimes just because somebody's teaching a course on something doesn't mean they know what they're doing. It's like there's so many gurus now that know everything and they're 20 years old. Like, and I'm not knocking 20-year-olds, y'all are great. But if you're 20, you probably don't know if you're a 20-year-old medical guru, you're probably not really a medical guru.
No.
So
I'm not trusting you with a scalpel. Thank you very much. But if you're a 20-year-old who's made 6 figures in 1 year,
absolutely, that's different.
I'm going to trust you on that because, it worked for you. Something's going to trickle down to me. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a guy named Josh 40. Great guy. I follow him on Facebook. And he's actually been on my podcast as well. I think he's 24 now. And I've been following him for a few years because he was on one of my friends' podcasts a couple of years ago. And we did some coaching with him and things like that. And he was working like 18 hours a day and all this stuff. And then he like crashed. And I actually talked to him about it in the podcast. And I was like, hey, Josh, are you working 18 hours a day anymore? He's like, he just laughed. He's like, absolutely not. Because nobody can like continue that for long. But the guy's 24. He's made millions of dollars. He's helped other people make millions of dollars. Yeah, he is a guru, if you want to call him that. He's an expert in what he does. building audiences and making money on Facebook. And that, yeah, I'll listen to him about that. But
Yeah.
like I said, if you got a scalpel and you're like, hey, I watched a video, and I'm like, no, let's wait a minute.
Hold on, let me check with the guy who has a PhD in this stuff. But yeah, no, I have to agree. Like for certain things, I'll listen to a 20-year-old. Like I had a high ticket affiliate marketer on my first season, and he was freaking amazing. And the knowledge that I got just from listening to it was great. So I understand, like, yeah, maybe I won't listen to a 20-year-old for certain things, but if he can show me proof that he's made this life,
absolutely, yeah,
why not?
Both of my business coaches are younger than me, and phenomenal, and have a successful online business, which is what I want. And so absolutely, I'm going to listen to everything they say, and because they have the proof. And I think that's the thing with anybody that you're listening to, whether it be on podcasts or right, even books. I love books. I you saw my two kids come in here, so I don't have a whole lot of time to read. I'm actually reading a fiction book right now, which is the first one I've read in probably 2 years, because I usually read to learn. But sometimes I start reading a book and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, I think this guy's full of crap. And so then I start to dig into the person, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it looks great, and there's obviously some money behind this, but I think I'm going to put this one away and let's go read another book.
This happened. This happened with me, with your current president, or at least at the time of recording, he's the current president. I read most of his books. Right. The Art of the Deal, right. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. Like, it's business minded, and read another one of his books, and then I started reading other business books, and I'm like, something like what they're saying and what he said aren't going. And I got his niece, Mary Trump's book for my birthday, and I started reading it, and I'm like, well, that makes goddamn sense. He didn't write his books. Yeah. It's all ghostwritten, like I heard ghostwriting, like business people I know, they have ghostwriters, but usually it's the ghostwriting is they're interviewing, and the interviewer just takes the thoughts and puts them on paper, and they go, yes, this is what I want. But like he was like, it was fully written by, like, I think Mary actually wrote one of his books. Like,
wow, that's crazy.
So
yeah, absolutely. Crazy. I mean, that's the thing, is a lot of people whose books you're reading, they didn't write it. You're absolutely right. And so, and some of them will talk about that freely and openly, but some won't. And so absolutely. I'm actually ghostwriting a book right now with someone, and which everything is coming from videos that he did and courses and things that he's already written, but I'm putting it together, and then he comes back and edits it. And so there's a lot of that, but then there's a lot of just like, hey, I want a book. This is what I want the topic. And so, and I've listened to a ton of people on podcasts and different things that have, I didn't write this book. It's making me millions of dollars, which is only if you have a huge audience. So I want to tell you right now, and tell the audience, like, if you're going to write a book to make millions, then don't write a book, because you're not going to do it unless you're Dave Ramsey or Donald Trump or somebody with a huge name and a huge following already, because, one of the things we talked about already, Phil, is it is a lot of work to write a book. It's a lot of work to promote a book as well. Oh, yeah. And that's really, to me, that's really where the work starts. Is, you've had this dream of writing a book, and you've worked really hard. You wrote the book, got it published, you get it out there, and you're like, it's done. And it's like, oh no, nobody bought it. Yeah, because nobody saw it, because you didn't do any promotion. So you've got to promote it and promote it and promote it and promote it. And so that's really where the work starts. You do podcasts like we're doing. You get on radio and television and news channels, and speak at events and different things like that, and do all this stuff. And that's really to me where the hard work starts. And that's one of the things that I offer in my services is, look, we're going to get you on 10 to 20 podcasts in your genre. We're going to try to get you on television, try to get you on the radio. We're going to get you on a blog tour where you can write on all these awesome bloggers and do guest posts, and we're going to put as much pressure behind the book as we can to launch it off and do great. So it's a lot of work.
Damn, like that's insane. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, because we've been talking nearly an hour now, and so I'm going to just disappear here, get you on the full screen. Boom. Now here you go. I'm going to mute myself. Tell us where we can find you, anything you want to promote, and go ahead. It's all yours, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. So if you want to find me, you can go to healthybooks.net is my website. Now, when you go to that website, you may be thinking you're going to see all these lists of things that I offer, and you're going to see bare minimum of what I offer, because I really make everything custom based on the needs of the client. So there's a link there to get to my Calendly and set up a free 15-30 minute phone call. In those phone calls, I really try to give as much value as I want. And sometimes I don't even tell you what I offer unless you want to know, because I don't want to pitch anything or sell anything to anybody that doesn't want it. And so we always talk, I value, and then, hey, well, Jeremy, how can you help me? And then I'll talk to you about it after that. But healthybooks.net. I have a podcast called Entrepreneur Rising, and it's really for small business owners that are doing their best to be successful and just do basically what Phil said, is become free and financially free and do the things that you want to do, which is what he's trying to do, is what I want to do, is what people in, kind of in my world are trying to do now. So Entrepreneur Rising podcast is on every platform that you can have it on. And I have some amazing guests with John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire, Steve Larson, Marley Jacks, Rob Cosper, Ken Carey, Josh Forty, a lot of those guys, just some amazing people on there. And so then I also have a Facebook group called Book Boss Tribe, and there's about 850 people in there, and we've helped so many people write books. I've personally helped help people publish 50 books since September of 2019. We're in, January 2021 right now at the recording of this podcast, and planning on helping, at least 100 more people this year alone. And so if you want to get in that, I actually have a course called Book Boss University that I would be glad to get you in. It takes you from zero, to self-published, how to do everything from start to finish. And if you don't want to buy the course, which some people don't, that's cool too. You can go to my Book Boss Tribe Facebook group, and almost every single video is in there. There's over 60 videos of me teaching, interviewing authors, talking about books, and just giving you a ton of stuff that you can take and write your own book. So that's really it. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Jeremy Sutton, the Book Boss, on Instagram. And I would say, Phil, that I'm really active on Facebook more than anything. And I do quite a bit on LinkedIn as well, messaging and things like that. But if you want to get to know me, find out more about it, definitely, go to healthybooks.net, sign up for a call, or go to Facebook, friend me, send me a message, get on Book Boss Tribe, and I'd be glad to do anything for you I can. Sometimes people don't need my services. They just need, 20 or 30 minutes of my time to kind of point them in the right direction. And I love doing that. I do those calls. I do 2 of those a day, and or have available 2 of those a day. And so I would be more than happy to help you if you need anything whatsoever. And that's it. That's my 5 minutes. That's all I got.
Listen, guys, if the whole podcast didn't suggest or didn't sell you on just taking the free 15-minute call that he's offering, how can you not after that? Like, he's helping so many people. He's telling you that you can literally get his course that he probably charges hundreds of dollars for free if you join his Facebook group. Like, that's a no-brainer. I'm already, as he was talking, I brought it up. I'm going to be joining the group because I want to write a book. I'm going to pay him, but I'm going to look at the course that's pretty much for free. And then I'll be like, okay, this is a lot of work. I'm going to go see Jeremy, but at least I'm going to be able to see, yeah, he does it. He has 50 books already under his belt that he's published. Like, for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to invest in him. He does get the invest in Phil from I don't know. I think I just made that up. So Jeremy, I want to thank you very much. Being the book boss is true. You are the book boss. That's the title of the episode. Boom, the Book Boss episode. I look forward to working with you in the future. And again, I can't thank you enough for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, man. It was a blast.
Guys, thank you again to Dr. Jeremy Sutton. Again, another amazing doctor who has been on this podcast, who has shared their love of teaching, and to the audience and to me more specifically, because this is why I get them on this podcast, because I want to learn. I have picked up some of Jeremy's, Dr. Sutton's books. I apologize. And they're amazing. It's great. He's so open and available to you on social media. So if you become his friend, his socials are in the show notes down below. He'll be more than happy to help you out. Join his group because It's an amazing book tribe. Like, that's how it is. The Book Boss tribe, it's so encouraging to all the authors that you want to be. So I highly suggest you guys check out the group. Again, he's going to be helping me write my book, The Burnout to Boss, the podcast mogul story, which is currently taking shape. I haven't started working with him directly, as I'm building this empire first before I can be a boss. I have to build the business. But that I do have my other book, The Ultimate 7 Steps to Launching a Successful Podcast, that I've used for Lloyd Ross's podcast, the tips I've taught other podcasters that have increased their downloads and their monetization as well. So you find that all there. If you would like a copy, send me an email at book@philbetterinc.com. Again, that is book@philbetterinc.com. Again, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Jeremy Sutton, the book doctor himself, for being a guest. And I want you all to remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.